Hello, this is a recording that will kind of help explain what regular expressions are and how to use that in PHP. This is the description of preg underscore match in the PHP on the PHP website. And when you read the description, it's really simple. It's way simpler than it really should be. Because when you read about what preg underscore match is going to do, it just says it's a regular expression match, which doesn't tell you much. And when you look at the arguments, that doesn't really tell you much either. It shows you that the first string is a pattern, the second string is the subject in which the pattern is being searched, and then the third one is passed by reference an array, so that you can put all the different components into that array. And then the next one is the other flags, and then you also have an offset. So instead of explaining all of these different parameters in this one single video, we'll focus on just the first two, so we'll ignore the other ones first. preg match, we'll skip to the return value first. Okay. Scrolling down. So it returns a basically non-zero, okay? It says one, yeah, but that's just basically non-zero if the pattern matches given subject. In other words, we can find the pattern that we're looking for within the subject as a parameter. And it returns zero or false that, when it returns zero if it does not, or it returns false if an error occurs. So it has basically three different types of results: a 1, a 0, or false. That means you might want to store the result value of preg match before you decide what to do with it. All right. So let's go back to the earlier description because they have one example here. Okay. The example here is not really that simple. We'll look for another one that's easier. There we go. They only have the more complex examples, and this is one that's easier. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at this particular example. The first string is the pattern. In other words, this double quoted string is the pattern. This is what we're looking for. And the interesting thing is it has to start with a slash. Well, conventionally it starts with a slash. It doesn't have to be a slash. But whatever you started with, you have to end it with a slash as well. So this is in addition to double quoted. So you can see that it is also double quoted here and here. But within the double quoted string, you have to supply the slash to begin the actual pattern, and then use another slash to end the pattern. This I here is a flag of sorts. If I remember correctly, I means it is not case sensitive, or right here it says it's case insensitive. So this is the pattern that we're looking for, and then this is the subject, which is basically the string in which we're looking for the pattern. And you can see in this case, it should have a match because PHP in uppercase is going to match PHP even though the regular expression itself is lowercase, but because of the I after the last slash, it means it is going to be a case insensitive search. So this will you'll actually find it. In the next example, we have a /b, which is a special character. It indicates a word boundary. /b indicates a word boundary, which basically means we're not looking for web as a part of a word, but as a word itself, because we have a word boundary before web, and then we have another word boundary right after word. And this is also going to be case insensitive because of the I. So as a result, it is going to match this particular web inside the subject, and it should return a match was found. In the next one, it will fail because even though we're looking for web, and web is a part of website, but because we're surrounding web with /b, which specifies word boundary, and this website, even though the first part is there's a word boundary, But the second part does not have, or the end of web does not have a word boundary. So it will fail to match this one. And this is another example. And this one is kind of more complicated. And you really need to know to how regular expression works to understand all of these different components. And this one also has a third parameter, which is matches, so that we can extract multiple components. So in addition to prag match returning a non-zero, returning a 1, if there's a match, it will also store the results of matching into this particular array, which sometimes is very helpful. So let's go back and take a look at the regular expression itself. Professor Lever already has a explanation of those patterns. And let me see if I can find it here. So they got all the examples. See also right there, PCRE, the RE definitely stands for regular expression. There we go. And right here, we look at the syntax, possible modifiers. And this is a big chapter on its own as well. And what I'm really looking for is really just the components. So the delimiter is referring to the beginning and also the end. As you can see in these examples, whatever you use to start the pattern is what you use to end the pattern. Conventionally, slash is used, but you can also, as this example shows, you can also use the pound sign to start, and you just have to make sure you use the pound sign to stop it as well. And then next to the delimiter, it also says here you can use bracket style delimiter, while the opening and closing brackets are the starting and ending delimiters. So in this case, we're using parentheses to indicate the inside of a pattern and so on. So you do have some options here as to what you can use as delimiters, how you indicate the beginning of the pattern and how you indicate the end of the pattern. I personally would just kind of stick with slash because that's the conventional one, and it is also compatible with most other programming languages. Meta characters is a little bit special because meta means it is not exactly, it means it has deeper meanings. So in this case, caret indicates the beginning of the subject. So you can look for patterns that are specifically at the beginning of a subject and not in the middle of the subject. The dollar sign means it is the end. A single period means it matches any character. And it says right here, except for new line by default. But you can also make it match new line as well, depending on what flags you specify after the pattern. The brackets, open and close, allow you to specify character class. In other words, you can specify exactly what character you want a particular place, character place to match. A vertical bar indicates a start of alternative, and you can use parentheses to start and end subpatterns, which is really, really powerful because what this allows you to do is to specify a multi-character subpattern within a bigger pattern itself. Question mark extends the meaning of also 0 or 1 quantifier. It is basically just saying, we can have 0 or 1 of whatever is previously specified. An asterisk means 0 or more, or basically any number of whatever is specified before. And whatever is before can be a literal letter, can be a digit, can be something in square bracket, can also be a subpattern. A plus sign, in this case, specifies 1 or more, which is also known as at least 1. And then the curly braces are used to specify the minimum and also the maximum of what we can expect, or you can specify exactly the number of times we can expect. And then the backslash character has a special meaning because it is the escape character. So if you want to look for an actual backslash within the subject, you have to specify backslash because that will give you the actual backslash. And escape sequences tells you how you can use the backslash. So we can see that \A is alarm, which is also known as the bell character. It is not used very often these days, but if you want to know, it has the ASCII code of 7. \C is a control character, and X is whatever the character is supposed to be. So \CC is going to be control C as a character. \E is the escape character itself, which has a hexadecimal ASCII code of 1B. /F is form feed, which has an ASCII code of 0C in hexadecimal. This one here is very important because new line is basically the indication of an end of line in most type of inputs. So this one actually is more important than many of the other escape patterns. \P is a character with its XX property and it's Unicode related. Same with \P. \R matches a carriage return, which is useful if you need to process input, especially from a Mac or a PC, because those particular platforms uses a \R or the carriage return character as a part of end of line. \R is just line break, and this is really helpful because it basically will match an end of line no matter how the text file is created. It can be created in Windows, it can be created in Linux, or it can also be created in Mac OS X and will match every single one of those cases. \T is the tab character. And if you know the hexadecimal ASCII code of a particular character, you can use \X and then followed by the 2-digit hexadecimal digits. Or if you know the octocode of a character, you can use \/ and then supply exactly three digits in this case to specify the character. So the escaping mechanism, and these are examples of the escaping mechanism, how you can specify the different characters. And then you can also have what these are called generic character types or classifications of characters. \D can match any decimal digit. It is the same thing as open square bracket 0 -9 close square bracket, which specifies the ASCII code of 0 to 9. \D is the negation of that, so it matches anything that is not a decimal digit. \H is any horizontal white space character. \H is anything that is not a horizontal white space. Now, horizontal white space is not necessarily just a space character. It can also match a tab and a few other quote-unquote white space characters. \S is any white space character, which includes all the horizontal as well as the vertical white space characters, and that would include end of line and many other characters. \S is any character that is not a white space character. Vertical white space, not vertical white space. \W is any word. And I think that would go from A to Z. And \W is any non-word character. And there are more explanations here. And then we have even more categorizations here. We have \B as word boundary, which probably includes space, comma, all the usual punctuations, quotes, double quotes, and so on. \B is the negation of that. \A is start of subject, independent of multi-line mode. \Z is end of subject. Lowercase z is end of subject. And \G is first matching position in subject. All right. So we have a pretty rich classification of escaped characters in PHP. And to remember all of these is definitely not easy. So it is helpful to kind of refer to Professor Lever's note if you want to get a quick summary of these things. In the next video, we are going to take a look at some sample programs that will basically test some of these particular patterns. And we can make a program that is kind of really general purpose that will allow an end user to input the subject and also input the regular expression that we the pattern itself, and then it will just display the result of calling preg underscore match. So we'll talk about that